If your team opens up Airtable and you see a grid of rows and columns, then you're only using half of the product. Airtable Interfaces is the other half. It's the layer of Airtable that actually turns your database into an app. I'm talking dashboards, scoped views, and clean screens that your team actually wants to use. And in a quick 15 seconds, that right there is exactly what Airtable Interfaces is. Now here's why I'm making this video. We build Airtable solutions for our clients every week, and the single most common pattern that we walk into is a business that's running its entire operations in the grid, rows and columns, neglecting interfaces entirely. Now, when everybody is operating out of the grid, it costs you in 3 different ways. Number 1, broken data. Number 2, a team that quietly stops using the system. And number 3 is a process that only lives in somebody's head. So in this video, why working in the grid is costing you and the interface pages that are gonna fix it. Now I'm doing this live on a real system, and at the end, what to do when interfaces isn't enough. So if you're ready to learn more about Airtable interfaces, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. And it's our mission to help you unlock the full potential of Airtable and related no-code tools so that you can build better systems without code for your business. Now here's the mental model for this entire video. Number 1, we have the data layer. This is the rows and columns, the linked tables, and how all of the information is talking. This is specifically where your data lives. The next layer, layer 2, is the interfaces, and this is where your team works. The mental framework is the basis for builders, the people who actually put the system together. The interfaces is for everybody else. That's how the regular person logs in and does their work day in and day out without getting their hands into and potentially messing up the underlying structure of the overall system. Now, when a business skips that second layer, the same 3 things happen every time. Number 1 is broken data. Because when you have people accessing the underlying data and they're untrained in how databases actually work, a single keystroke can take out a customer record without a second thought. It's happened countless times that people have come to me saying that somebody deleted something they shouldn't have, but the truth is that person should have never had access to delete it in the first place. Number 2 is blocked adoption, because 500 or 5,000 records, rows of data is overwhelming, especially to a new person. And things like this that are overwhelming and intimidating mean that people stop using the tool and they wind up just creating their own process that they feel is easier, but it disconnects them from what the company is actually doing when people go and build their own shadow solutions. And number 3, perhaps the most important one, is that there is zero process because the grid shows all the data, but it says nothing about what the actual workflow is. Now let me prove this to you using a real system in Airtable. Let's go ahead and dive into my screen. Here you see that we've built a demo base called Summit Outdoor Services. I'm in the data layer, and if you're not comfortable or familiar with navigating Airtable, you can tell I'm in the data layer because data is selected in the upper center of the screen. These are the rows and columns. I've got 3 tables: customers, crew, and jobs. These things are linked together, the data is correct, and we have the proper fields built in the system. But imagine that this is exactly where the crew leads, the owners, the managers, everybody works directly from here, right in the rows and columns. Now let's look at some plants. These are the things that I see in actual databases all the time that clue me into the fact that people aren't accessing interfaces, but instead the data layer itself. Right here, I've got a half deleted record for a customer. Kathy, for some reason, is missing an address, phone number, email, and a source. Somebody came in and wiped out some information. Or over here in my jobs, I've got a status field, and here somebody has started to type in progress and clearly fat-fingered it, and now I have a whole other status that was added that is an incorrect status to begin with. And this thing is not being grouped properly with the other status. Now, nobody did anything malicious here. It's just that the grid allowed them to have this permission level, and this is the result. That's cost number 1 and cost number 3 in just a couple of screens. We've got broken data and a process that the tool is not enforcing. But now watch what happens when we put an interface layer on top of this data. Real quick interruption here. Before we get into the actual interface, I want to invite you to join me for our Airtable crash course. This is a free video crash course delivered directly to your email when you sign up at gapconsulting.io/airtable-crash-course. Of course, I'll include links wherever you found this video. This crash course will help you master the key fundamentals of Airtable, one of which is interfaces that we're talking about here. So if you're ready to up your Airtable game, sign up for that crash course wherever you find the link. But now, back to the video. Let's go flip now into those interfaces. Now, we click up here, but remember that this is where most people from our team will be logging in. They will never even have access to the data layer. This right here, it's the same base. It's the same underlying data, but a completely different presentation. Right here, we're looking at the dashboard page, and all of this took about 10 minutes to build. I'll show you exactly how in just a moment. Now, this is showing us jobs this month, it's showing us the revenue booked this month, and it's showing us the entire pipeline by status, all at a glance. This is actually usable data. Much more beneficial than looking at grids, rows and columns that don't really show us the full picture and the full health of the operations. Now, every element here is very easy to edit. I am currently in edit mode, not the polished, launched version of the interface. And you see here on the right-hand side of the screen that everything is drag and drop. I can move these elements around, I can change exactly how it shows up on the dashboard, and I can update the underlying mechanics of the different components here. None of this requires any code, and they are so easy to put together. This is the part that most people just don't realize. This is not a new design tool that you have to learn. It's all simple drag and drop, and it's using the data that you're already working with in Airtable. Once we're happy with the look and feel of this, you can publish in the upper right corner and just launch as well. And this is the actual thing that people will see when they get to work. You remember that cost number 2, blocked adoption? Well, nobody is intimidated by this screen. This is a screen that people open on purpose. That right there is the whole game with Airtable interfaces. Now let's check out a different kind of page. Dashboards are cool, they show us the top level, but what about the work day in and day out? Well, let's switch over to My Jobs. So we can choose what we're filtering by when we show this information. So right now, if I click here in the right-hand side on the filter, you'll see that there's a status filter that's only showing the jobs that are scheduled and or in progress. But what if I wanted to limit this even more? This is a lot of information, and all of these jobs don't belong to the person logging in. I can actually cultivate an interface so that it only shows stuff that people are assigned to. That's a huge unlock, and now our team is not going to look at 500 rows of data, but instead only their open tasks or jobs. Let me show you step by step exactly how to do this. Now, first we have to go into the data layer, and we have our crew here, right? We have assigned these different crew members these jobs. So let's imagine that we bring in on the crew level the Airtable user field. This is a field that we can add that allows us to assign the actual Airtable user. So I'm going to go ahead and just name this field Airtable user and bring it in. Now, I want to be Marcus, and I'm going to assign Sarah here as Dana. Now I'm doing this so that when Sarah logs into the tool, she is going to see all of Dana's open jobs. And when I log into the tool, I'm going to see all of Marcus's open jobs. Now, before we get to the next level, we have to bring that Airtable user into whatever information we want to filter down. In this case, we're filtering jobs. So you can see that we have a linked relationship to the crew lead. I'm going to add a lookup field, and I'm going to look up that Airtable user that we just created. And now, anywhere that Dana is the crew lead, you can see that Sarah, her Airtable user, is getting looked up. And similarly, anywhere that Marcus is the crew lead, it's looking up mine. Now, this is the key piece that's going to allow us to filter those interfaces. So let's jump back to those interfaces now. Now again, in the upper right corner, I'm going to click on Filter, and I'm going to add a new condition here. I need to find that new field that we just created. It's the Airtable user, which we brought from the crew lead, and I need to say that it has any of the current user. Now this way, it's going to be dynamically updating so that whoever logs into this interface is going to see their information only. So let's see it in action. I will publish this interface and then go back to preview it. Here I am in my jobs, previewing it as me. These are the 5 jobs that are assigned to Marcus because I have attached my user to the Marcus record in the crew table. Now, if I want to impersonate Sarah, no problem. I see a completely different list of jobs. And this is so relevant because it means that our team is not going to get bogged down by a lot of messy data. They only see what they need to act on now. This is what's relevant for them and what they should be focused on today. I also want to call out that everything here in these interfaces is allowed to be made editable or read-only. So you no longer have to worry about that messy data that we showed earlier. For example, we have that status field that was filled out incorrectly. Well, you'll notice that here we have full control over how people are able to work in this field. If I want to allow for this editing, I can select this whole section here and say allow inline editing. This allows the fields in the group to be editable inline so that users can just come in here and start making changes. And you'll also notice that this gets rid of that messy data that we had earlier, where we have in progress instead of in progress. Well, now we don't have to worry about people fat fingering things because we have allowed them to update from only the options selected here. And of course, this completely eliminates messy data that people accidentally type in. Now let's do a quick tour of some visual layouts in interfaces because each one of these is probably going to replace something that this company is doing currently on a whiteboard. Imagine bringing that into your process in an interface. So diving in quickly, I'll change back to previewing as myself, and we're going to look at the crew timeline. Here we have a timeline view that is going to show the different crew members and what they're on and attached to over time. Number 2, a schedule. We can see everything on a calendar. Here, I've got the calendar set to month, but we can update that to be 2-week or custom, whatever we want to see. We can remove weekends, etc. Then we also have a job board, a kanban view, where we can see all of the different jobs that we have in our pipeline stacked by status. This can be made to be editable inline so that we can just move these components over. And just like that, we are updating the status of the jobs and seeing them visually through our process. Now, none of these were configuration projects. Each one is just a layout that you pick, a table you point it at, and then a field that you choose to filter by or not. It takes minutes, not days, to set these up. Now let's get real, get honest about where the interfaces feature runs out of road in Airtable. Because the truth is, it does. And knowing where those edges are, that's what's going to allow you to trust the tool that you built. Interfaces give you speed because it has guardrails. You're picking from layouts, not design screens. So if you need pixel level control of your brand, or if you need an app where you're going to have hundreds or thousands of people log in, and at this point the Airtable cost per seat might not make sense. Or lastly, if you need genuinely custom logic, I'm talking about a wizard, a configurator, something that behaves like software. The native interface layer is not where that lives. And this is where things have gotten really interesting in the last year or so, because the next tier up used to mean hiring developers for months at a time. But now you can vibe code a front end that lives on top of your Airtable data in a weekend or two. Describe the screens that you want from an AI and put the AI to work building your custom layer, the UX for your team. The backend doesn't change and management can still work from the Airtable interfaces, but when you're publishing this out en masse and you don't want the per seat licenses, that's where that next layer really kicks in. But I need to call out that there is also a vibe coding element inside of Airtable interfaces. Let's jump back to our interface real quick, and I'll show you where to find this. In edit mode, select a new interface, name it whatever you'd like, and right here we can create a bespoke layout or visualization with natural language. Just talk directly to Omni, the Airtable AI, and it can use what information we give it in regular language and build a custom interface directly here for us in Airtable Interfaces. If you need to take this outside of Airtable, there are those third-party tools, but do know that you can keep a lot of this directly here in Airtable, assuming that your data and information already lives in here. So let's land this. Airtable is 2 layers. We've got our data layer where all the information lives, tables are connected, the fields have been built, and this is purely data, the information that powers our operations. If your team is living in the data, you're making them work from within the boiler room of your operation. The second layer is that interface layer. This is where people should be working from. The owner gets their dashboard, the crews get their jobs, and the schedule lives on a calendar that people can drag and drop. The base is for builders, interfaces is for everyone else. Your homework is simple. Take that one person on your team who complains about Airtable the most and build them their own custom interface, specifically for their work. And I would be stunned if they don't come to you within a week with a whole new song about how they love using Airtable. And if you're looking at your own base right now and you're thinking that your own data layer might need some work, well, that's exactly where we come in. You can grab a free strategy call with our team at gapconsulting.io/strategy-call. Of course, I'll include a link wherever you found the video. And from that link, you can sign up for a free call with our team to get unstuck moving forward in your Airtable solution. But before you go, drop a comment below and tell me, is your team in interfaces or is everybody still stuck working in the grid? I read every single comment and it genuinely shapes the videos that we make next. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, keep on building.